Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha. Welcome to Culturized. It is me, Makani. This is the space where we get to sit down, talk, and learn. Especially for me, we get to learn about different cultures. And that's what I truly, whether it's social, native, or ethnic, I truly believe if we learn a little bit about each other's cultures, we're all going to get along a lot better. I'm excited. Sitting in front of me, I get to learn today, and you get to learn today about our Korean brothers and sisters, the culture of Korea and Korean culture. Amanda Chang, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
First of all, thank you for joining me because I know you just went hiking.
Yes, in fact, I did.
And you went hiking with all your Korean friends.
Today, I do hike every Saturday.
Nice.
But today was a little special hike because, Korea is a peninsula with the north and south divided. One of the rare countries after Germans, became one. We're one of the only countries, country that's divided in half. So today's hike was like Happy New Year, but yet we're praying that two Koreas will become united and become one. So that was a kind of special event type of Makapu hike.
Oh, so you guys went to Makapu? Nice.
Yes.
Speaking of which, and since you already brought that up, I was going to talk about it later. Do you guys follow the Gregorian calendar New Year, or like how Chinese have their New Year? Do Koreans have New Year?
You know what? Interesting that you ask. Koreans have both regular, like solar calendar New Year, which is we just passed, 2 weeks ago. We also have a lunar calendar, which follows the moon. So we follow the sun.
Very like Hawaiians.
So basically, they like to have a lot of holidays, right? So they have a solar calendar New Year celebration, and then they have a lunar calendar, which is going to be actually, isn't it this coming weekend?
Yeah, because
Yes.
When was Chinese New Year?
That is a lunar calendar.
Now?
That's this weekend, I believe. I think it's this weekend.
I like it.
The
Koreans think just
19th.
like Hawaiians, like the
more the merrier.
More the merrier.
Yes, when it comes to holidays.
Before we start getting into a little bit more of that, as we do locally, where are you from?
Actually, I was born in Seoul, Korea.
Nice.
Came to Hawaii with my parents when they immigrated as a child, but I was already in high school. Oh. So, I have my brother who was in middle school. I have a younger sister who was in elementary. So we had one in high school, one in middle school, and one in elementary. So 3 kids came to Hawaii together.
What grade were you when you came to Hawaii?
Senior.
Wow.
I was a senior.
That's rough.
Yeah, I went to Good P school.
What?
Not Punahou School, but Pearl City.
Wait,
City.
So you did your first 3 years of high school
in Korea.
in Seoul, and then you came here.
Right, correct.
Wow.
That's
So here's a little known fact. I spent some time at Seoul Physical Education High School. 1986, I wrestled in the Asian Games. And so we moved there for a while, the team I was with. I think the school still exists today, but that's when I learned, man, Koreans work hard at everything. Here's a funny story. So we're at Seoul Physical Education High School. I was wrestling. So I remember it was the week of practice. So we go to practice and we practice, and practice was about 2 hours. So it was done. So me and my other teammates from Hawaii were all changing, showering, getting ready. And our Korean teammates are like, "What are you guys doing? What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh, we're done, right? That was 2 hours." It's like, "No, that was warm up." I'm like, "Wait, hold on. Practice didn't even start yet." And I was like, "Man, these guys." So Seoul Physical Education High School. A lot of my friends went on to be Olympians. I think 86 Asian Games and 88 was Seoul
Olympics.
Yeah,
right.
Olympics.
I was already here.
Wow.
Yeah, but I came here in 1983, so it's been my 40th year this year. I've been here.
What was it like moving from Seoul, especially at that time, especially as a senior, leaving Seoul and coming to Hawaii? Was that the first place your parents wanted to come to?
My father's family, my father's side, siblings, been living in Hawaii since the 60s. Wow. So my youngest aunt, so the youngest of my father's siblings, had a elementary school here on. So they lived here for a long time. It was just that my father didn't want to immigrate. So when he decided to do it, we're one of the last one to come, basically.
What I want to do coming up in this next portion, I want to talk about that. What was, or do you know what your father was thinking, or what was the reason why they wanted to come? Hold that thought. Think about that. If you're joining us, this is Culturized. We're sitting down with my good friend Amanda Chang. We're getting into Korean culture, specifically Korean culture here in Hawaii, right here on Culturized.
Bringing you what matters. Viewers can receive the Star Advertiser Digital Full Access subscription for just $9.95 per month. Go to staradvertiser.com and click on subscribe. Use the code AHAITHING.
Long's Drugs is always here for Hawaii, providing your family with their local favorites, accessible health and wellness services to keep you safe and healthy. Make Long's a part of your day.
Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha. Welcome back to Culturized. I'm excited. We get to learn and talk story about Korean culture. And we're all familiar. There's all the stereotypical things we know about Korean culture. But we're sitting with Amanda. And you left Seoul when you were a senior. Your parents, you were the last family to come over.
Correct.
And you already had family here in Hawaii. What was, do you know what was the deciding factor? What did your dad say? Because he didn't want to go at first.
You know what? Right? Because we were children, we're minors and we had no saying, number one. Whatever daddy says or mommy says, go, right? So it was not my input that mattered, but I think my parents really wanted to have a good education. And I thought, maybe he thought, it was my father who decided to come and join. And also, secondly, because his whole family, his mother... By then, my grandpa already passed. But
also, his parents were already here.
Yes, my father's side family, 4 sisters, a mom, and everybody was here. So he wanted to also join his family.
So correct me if I'm wrong. So it was first place that Koreans immigrated outside of the Asian continent was Hawaii.
That's correct. Actually, you know what? The first Korean immigration to the world, to overseas, was Hawaii. That actually occurred 13th of January, which was yesterday.
No way.
120 years ago. In fact, we just had a big ceremony celebrating 120th anniversary of Korean immigration to the U.S. yesterday.
That's totally intriguing because why, or in your opinion, why do you think they chose Hawaii to come to?
You know, the first group of immigrants in 1903, when they first came, they came as most of the Asian immigrants to the Hawaii were to work. They were called in, or they were brought in to work at the sugarcane industry, right? So they came as laborers. The difference between Korean initial immigrants versus other Asian groups is that a lot of Koreans who left the country to come to Hawaii are 2 different types. One, they are Christians. A lot of Christians.
Really?
Yes. They left Incheon. And a lot of, 70%, I was told, were Christians on board. 102 people arrived as a first wave of the immigration 120 years ago yesterday,
That's
right?
That's crazy.
And then secondly, because back then, Japanese influence over Korean dynasty, it's called Yi dynasty, or some people call it Joseon dynasty, was getting so much worse. There were people who wanted to get away with it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Korea annexed from them, or was Japan annexed from?
Japan annexed Korea, so colonized Korean peninsula for 35 years, from 1910 till 1945. 35 years. So 1903 is when they came. That was just a few years before. So the influence over, Japanese influence over Korea dynasty, Korean as a nation, was already there. So it was very difficult.
So now that I'm thinking about it, so that happened, right? You got the Japanese influence over Korea. And then what years was it that the Korean peninsula split?
1953.
Oh, so this is way after.
Right.
So say, for example, if you immigrated to Hawaii and you had the plans of, you making some money and going back. You go back, it's two different countries.
There's actually for the first comers, they lost country.
That's what I'm.
While they were here. So when they first came in 1903, 102 men and women and children, and then thereafter, in about 3 years, so before the annexation occurred, about from 1903 to 1910, when the annexation occurred, that 7 years, they had over 7,000 Koreans who came to work at the sugar cane plantation in Hawaii, who had no country to return.
That is, just to think about that, that's crazy. So if you're joining us, this is Culturized. We're talking about Korean immigration and Korean culture in Hawaii. Hawaii was the very first place that they chose when Koreans left to migrate to the world. And think about that, leaving your country and in hopes to go back, but you didn't have one. It's Korean culture right here in Culturized. Air and Sea Travel Center, best group tours throughout the world. Let's go travel and see the world to make beautiful memories. Call 808-951-9800 today. Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha. Welcome back to Culturized. My name is Makani. We're sitting with my good friend Amanda Chang, talking about Korean culture. And I know if you're wondering, we're making some lei, because when people get together, right? If you want, we've got some. I'm a sucker for kukui. I love kukui. Kukui represents knowledge, and I thought let's make some leis while we're talking story. But so we're talking about immigration, right? So now the Korea is now the north and south. I can't even imagine the mindset of leaving and then knowing that you can't go back. What are some of the, now that they're split, are the customs really different?
I don't think so.
Because they split for political reasons.
North Korea obviously is a communist, and then South Korea is a democratic country. So political reasons, but you know what? People are the same lineage, same descendants, same culture, same language. Unlike, say, China or, say, Philippines, they have a different dialects. Koreans have the same language, written and verbal. So they share the same language. Of course, there are some different accents and, little, if you go to Japan, they have a Kansai Ben, which means they have a little bit of but they all understand each other, right, in Japan. Same thing for Korea, same language. So they share the same everything except political ideology.
That's so strange. Strange and difficult, because so basically you can have a family member that is in North Korea.
That's correct. So there are, especially older generation, they have siblings, aunt and uncles, separated by the, parallel. 38th parallel is what we call a DMZ, and 38th parallel. So we do have families who cannot see each other because of the division of North and South, right?
That's
very sad.
It's got to be a hard thing, especially knowing that it's only for political reasons.
That's correct. And some people happen to be there. It's not like they wanted to be choosing that ideology. Let's just say you were born and raised in North Korean city somewhere, and all of a sudden, one day, that whole area that you're living in, became communist regime. What do you do?
Do you have friends or family that are?
Luckily, my father's side and my mother's side, they're all from the southern part of the Korea, so they're all South Korean origins.
So when you moved to Hawaii, now, do you see a difference with Korean culture in Hawaii and Korean culture in Korea?
When I was in high school, you're talking, or now?
Both.
Both. When I came to Hawaii for the first time in 1983, I was shocked by a couple things, by school system and how children were at that age. I never seen people kissing, number one, in life, in person.
Really?
I've seen people kissing. I mean, like mom kissing baby.
Right.
I'm not talking about,
just affection.
Yeah, affection type. I'm talking about like men, women, boy or girl. Like only kissing I've seen was Gone with the Wind, like actors
Really?
on a theater. Never seen people, but that's way back 80.
But is it because
Not anymore.
Korea at the time? Is it because it was just you weren't a very did you show emotion or
No, it's just that it was private things were left in private.
okay.
That's the culture. That was the custom. But again, the reason I ask, are you talking about back then or now, is because it's so different. Now you may probably see Korean dramas and movies. We're talking 40 years ago, right?
Wait, so there were no Korean dramas back then?
No, there were.
But not like
They
how
wouldn't
they
kiss.
Really?
They wouldn't kiss. Because only television dramas. Of course, if you go to a theater, there would be, men and women kissing scenes, I'm sure. But I didn't get to watch it because I was a kid when I came. But dramas, there were Korean dramas back then, but they didn't have kissing scenes.
Okay, we want to talk a little bit because that's a huge thing. How many people do you guys know that are addicted to Korean dramas? If you're joining us on Culturize, we're talking Korean culture right here with Amanda Chang.
For all your money needs, Hawaiian Financial Federal Credit Union is here for you. Visit hificu.com.
Windows Hawaii. Windows are not only designed to beautify your home, but also to make your home more secure, energy efficient, and virtually noise-proof. Contact Mario now for your free in-home estimate. 808-671-0808.
Hey, what's up? How's it? Aloha, it's me, McCunny. This is Culture as we're talking Korean dramas. Why do you think Korean dramas are so huge?
Actually,
Is it as big there as it is in Hawaii?
Oh, I think so. But you know what? I actually asked that same question to my local friends who are so into... Actually, I was not really into Korean dramas because as a kid in Korea, when I came to the U.S. in 80s, I really didn't have much time to watch dramas because I was busy studying and mind my own business at school. So came here, I didn't watch any Korean dramas. And then, I'm an immigration law attorney working at a law firm with a local Japanese lady who works there asking me about Korean drama, which I have no idea. So she was talking about Winter Sonata being big in the 2000s, okay? That's when I first started this law firm. I went to this law firm in 1999. And then this lady's asking me about a Korean drama I didn't know. So she's the one who introduced me to Korean drama. So because not only her, but so many people were asking me about drama, which I have no clue. Became embarrassed.
Just because you're
I
Korean,
became
you're like,
ashamed. Yeah. And then, you know what? Sometimes because I do immigration law and I do have Koreans coming from Korea asking me or telling me. In fact, a couple famous entertainers came and saw me for a consultation. I had no idea who they were when they came, but I think not only they were shocked that I don't know them, they probably thought I was like, I don't know, maybe too, what do you call those people who are like hard-nosed? To know them. But that was not my intent.
You just didn't watch
after they left, I go, oh my gosh, that kind of, but to answer your question, I asked the local Japanese lady, coworker, why do you like Korean dramas? She said, when she watches American dramas, there are too many dramas with the sex and violence. But Korean dramas are wholesome, not too much sex and violence, but something that it touches you to the point where it's well written, well acted out, the story is great, and they just enjoy some human feelings.
Makes sense, because right now so what are some, in your opinion, some customs and traditions that Hawaii practices, of course, from our Korean cousins, right? They come over. Obviously, we all take off our shoes before we go in the house. What are things that you brought over from Korea that you still practice today culturally?
You know what? I think respect.
That's a big one.
In Korea, there are words describing the custom. Chang Yuso, which means you respect your elders. And whatever you do, you always have elders first. Even as little as, say, serving meals. You never have a child go first. Grandma first, and then parents. Except one exception. The person who prepares the meal serves herself. Normally, usually women serves herself last. That's what I was taught, and that's how Koreans are. So it's always age, the respect, showing respects to elders and people who are above you. You know, that to me is one of the things that I practice every day.
What of growing up with in Korean culture and traditions, and like you talked about values, what are some other specific Korean values or things that you did in culture that got you to the point as an immigration lawyer now? How did that get you to this point? I mean, respect.
Work hard. Work ethics to me is what Koreans share, no matter who you are, I think.
Oh, they pride themselves. They're the hardest working people I know.
Even President Obama, who went to Punha as a local boy, said the same thing. Korean kids study so hard, work so hard. But you know what? I think it's Korea. Naturally, Korea has not much natural resources. We don't have oil. We don't have much. We don't have anything. We don't have iron, nothing. The Koreans have to import everything. So, except for stones and the gravel stuff, because they got so much mountain. 70% of the land is mountain. So that's the only natural resources they have. So, only way you can survive is education and working hard. Those are the two things I would think that the Korea or being brought up in Korea kind of gave me as a kind of like custom or ethics or things to do. And then I carry that on no matter where I go, and I still practice that today and teach the same to my children, 3 boys.
You see, that's what we're learning about. Doesn't matter what your culture is, we always have the same things. We're going to sit with Amanda Chang a little bit more. We're going to talk about Korean culture. If you're joining us on YouTube, thank you very much for doing that. This is Culturized. Hey, what's up, house? Aloha, welcome back to Culturized. If you're on YouTube, this is the extended version. Those of you that joined us on all of our podcast platforms, thank you very much for doing that. Hit the subscribe button, notification button, keep us or validate our existence. Sitting with Amanda Chang, we're talking Korean culture. I love this because I'm learning things. I think we generally know that Koreans always education and work hard. I don't know any one of my Korean friends that don't work hard, and they're always working. They're always doing something. And that stems back from, like we just learned, it was how many years now? The first immigration, 1903.
120 years.
120 years. When it comes to Korean culture in Hawaii, now I know you guys have. I remember I went to Taste of Korea.
Hawaii Korean Cultural Center.
The Hawaii. So that you're involved with them, right?
I'm the chairperson. I'm the president.
So when's the last Taste of Korea you guys had?
That was 2019, right before COVID.
Oh, so you guys haven't had one since then?
No, not yet. So this year, we'll have it back.
I'm trying to think the last one I went to, because this is what I learned. You know, when I spent time in Korea, I learned that mijeon is not a Korean thing. It's a Hawaii
variation.
Korean thing.
It's a little variation
right?
of. I mean, jeon is a Korean cooking way of cooking, but in Korea, when you make a gogi jeon is what they call it, but they use pound ground beef rather than a thin slice of a steak. So that's a little different. But you know what? Similar.
Yeah, I was gonna
when
say,
you work at the sugarcane plantation, you don't have time to
pound it,
just do it.
What are there other types of foods in Hawaii that of course Korean influence, but when you go to Korea they don't have it?
When you go to a Korean barbecue, like takeout joint, you always see macaroni salad.
That's such a Hawaiian.
That is such a Hawaiian thing, but it's so big in Hawaii. Koreans had to adopt, I think. So that's one item. People may think, oh, I wonder. Koreans do use mayonnaise, and they typically use more potato salad. They have they chop their potato more finely than cubes, and then they put veggies. Same thing, except it's kind of between mashed potato and potato salad kind of texture. So it's more finely chopped.
What's the Korean word? What do they call all the separate dishes that they give you first? Oh, that's
banchan.
You get the kimchi, you get the daikong, all that. And that's what I love, of course, all the different foods. And then one thing I learned too, depends where you go, when you put your food in the lettuce. Yes. But in Korea, they don't use this. They use the cabbage.
Actually, you know what? Sam is the word, means wrap, WRAP, wrap. So sam is a word for that type of food. And then typical sam is lettuce, typically. But you can use many different types of vegetables, including what you just said, cabbage.
I went somewhere.
Yeah.
And I felt dumb as we were at I forget where in Korea it was, and I asked for lettuce. They were like, "What?" So they brought me was it walnut cabbage? And they said, "No, you just wrap it in that." And I was like, "Whoa, that's way better than the lettuce."
And then you also use head cabbage slightly blanched. They use that as a wrapping. And they also use thinly sliced, radish. The daikong is people. So anyway, radish. You slice it really thinly and marinate. You can wrap that. And they even make a really thin slice, like dumpling wrap. Oh, yeah. But they make it with a sweet rice flour. So it's really sticky but really thin. And then you wrap that meat and, gochujang or samjang, which is a bean paste. And then, put vegetable and garlic and chili, you wrap it up and eat it. So sam is the word for any wrap. So lettuce is the most typical, but what you have is another way of enjoying it.
Do you cook a lot at home?
Yes, I have to feed 3 boys, my husband, and I have a dog, so male dog.
You cook a lot of Korean food?
I do cook some Korean, but you know what? I'm a full-time working person, so when I come home, I kind of think through my menu for the week during the weekend, and I will shop whatever I need over the weekend. So on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I kind of have an idea what I'm going to be cooking. So as soon as I come home, I get cooking. So my cuisine is not which country, how soon I can cook to feed the hungry boys. So it depends.
Favorite Korean dish to cook?
You know what? Recently, let me think about what I cook. My first child just came back from his college, first year. He just started college last year. So he wanted to eat galbi. So I marinated galbi and grilled. That was one. And he also wanted to eat, cucumber kimchi. Ugh. So I made that.
Man.
Yeah, so...
I remember when I was at Seoul Physical Education High School, one of my teammates, we would always go to the house, go downstairs in the cellar, and they just had shelves and shelves of kimchi. Oh. Man, just bottles of them.
Yeah, actually, do you know that Koreans have a kimchi refrigerator?
Really?
They have a...
Specifically?
They call it kimchi 냉장고. 냉장고 is a refrigerator. So... They just like you have a wine cellar. Why not, right? So kimchi takes a special temperature.
Yes.
And then they go by 1 year, 2 years, 3 years.
That's how the shelves work.
Yes. So it depends on what you cook. I need a 1-year-old kimchi, or I may need a 3-year-old.
What's the
kimchi.
best? So if the next time I go to a Korean restaurant, I'm going to tell the ani, I like the 1 year.
It depends on the specialty, but in Hawaii, I'm not sure how many restaurants have a special kimchi. Right. But you know what? Just a regular home in Korea, or Korean households, Korean immigrants who live here in Hawaii as well, including myself, have a kimchi refrigerator. Mine just broke down, by the way. So
you only specifically put it. What is kimchi better, longer, late, or?
Depends.
Like wine.
My husband likes kimchi that was just freshly made. It's not fermented. It's just fresh. He likes that. And a lot of older men and women, 할머니, 할아버지, they like freshly made. But people like little aged fermented kimchi. So it depends. There are like over 100 different types of kimchi, right? So
really?
Depends on there is a kimchi that has no chili pepper whatsoever, called white kimchi, 백김치. It has no chili pepper.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think about that house we were at, and I was just amazed that everything is there. It's like, and they had them all organized, and and I remember the auntie saying, yeah, because we keep it on here because it's cooler, this and that. Before we let you go, we want to learn some. In Hawaii, there's we all have Korean friends. Ani is auntie.
Onni is older sister.
Older sister.
Female calls older sister Onni, but male calls their older sisters Nuna. So Koreans are very relationship-based people. You have every single name for every single relationship. Depends on whether mother's side, father's side, whether you're male, female, older, younger, different names.
So how do you say mom?
엄마 is kind of like informal way. 어머니 is more formal way of calling mother.
And that's even if you're male or female, you
doesn't
call
matter, right?
What is, and dad, father is?
아빠 is the kind of
it's like the ma.
Yeah, mommy, right? 아버지 is the more like father.
And then so we just talk about auntie. Are there specifically auntie and uncle words, or
yes?
Is
you know what? If you are paternal aunt, it's different from maternal aunt.
Okay.
Yes. So Imo is my mother's side. Maternal aunt is Imo. My father's sister is Kumo. Wow. So by just calling that, I don't have to explain to my friend which side.
Are.
So I don't.
Wow.
I save one sentence. Is that your mother's side or father's side? You don't have to say that. Or is it maternal or paternal? The word already exists for that relationship.
That's interesting. Wow. So there you go. That's what we're learning. If you have something to share with us on Korean culture, comment right down below. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. We definitely want to bring you back because we continually learning about, cultures and whatnot. Amanda Chang, if you have anything else you want to share with us right here on Culturized.